All right, YouTube. I want to talk to you guys today about self-awareness and self-confidence, and I'm going to do that in a two-part video. So this is part one. And the way that I want to have this conversation with you is by telling you a story. A few years ago, back in 2009, I was training MMA, and I was training out of a gym in Festus, Missouri called Han MMA. And one day we were doing this drill. It was a grappling drill. One person would lay on the ground, the other person would get on top, and the other person would basically just start striking the guy that was on the ground. The guy that was on the ground, he had the job of using jiu-jitsu and only jiu-jitsu to kind of defend against the strikes and to escape or submit or get out, right? So, pretty basic drill. It lasted for 5 minutes. I get down on the ground. The owner of Han MMA, Kevin Han, gets on top of me. Now, I want to put this in perspective for you because I'm not the biggest guy in the world, especially at that time. I walk around about 5'6", about 170 pounds. Kevin Han is a beast of a dude. He is 6'2", 220 pounds, ex-professional power lifter. Guy can lift a house, and on top of that, he's a phenomenal martial artist. So he gets on top of me. He starts beating me, right? Well, I'm going through this drill, and I'm getting hit, and I'm starting to panic. My brain's freaking out a little bit because I can't get him to stop hitting me. I'm not being able to move my body in the right way to escape, and I'm starting to get hurt, and he keeps beating on me, and he keeps beating on me. Well, then I get to this critical part in the drill where if you feel like you're trapped and you can't get out, you have the option to tap out. And that's what I did. I tapped out. But something really important happened at that moment in time. He didn't stop. And he kept beating me. And he kept beating me. And then my brain started to freak out more. My brain started to kind of get in this panic mode. And I started to lose a sense of what was going on. And I started to breathe too heavy. And I started to freak out more. And then something really, really important happened at that moment. I quit for real. And he still didn't let me up. And the buzzer goes off and the round ended, and I get it up and I'm super mad. In fact, I'm absolutely pissed off. And I'm yelling at him, like, why didn't you let me up? You kept beating me. He goes, man, I wasn't going to let you quit. And I grabbed my stuff and I left the gym that day and I walked out the front door and I was just absolutely beside myself with anger and frustration. Now, that may sound like a really simple story, but I want to tell you about the ramifications of that story in my life. You see, from that event, I learned so much about myself that it actually sent me into a spiraling depression for 2 or 3 weeks after the event. Because at that moment, this giant mirror was put in front of my face and I got to see the worst part of myself. All of a sudden, all those ideas and myths that I had about myself, about being a tough guy or being strong or not being a quitter, whatever the facade is that I believed in, it was instantly shattered. Poof, gone. And then all of a sudden what happens is you're left with this realization that, you know what? I'm not the person that I thought I was. Now let me give you a little background to this because some of you may be confused. Some of you may be like, hey man, you were ex-military. You served in the Army. You were a combat engineer. You went to Iraq. You're right, I did. But I want to tell you something very important about that. I went to Iraq not by choice, but because I had to. All the stuff that I did in the Army, I didn't do by choice. I did it because somebody made me do it and I had no other option. When you don't have any other option, sometimes that doesn't teach you as much about yourself as you would think. The other advantage is, during my time in the military, I didn't voluntarily put myself through self-testing. But at this moment in my life, with that facade, with that tough guy persona going on, with the idea in my head that I was a fighter, I got put in a place where I had to see that that wasn't the reality. What did I learn at that moment? I learned 2 things. One, that I was weak, not just physically, but mentally. And 2, that at the absolute worst moment, at that pivotal point in time, I would quit. And this is where the reflection happens. Because I would get up in the morning and I would walk into my mirror in my bathroom and I'd stand in front of the mirror and I would see that guy sitting across from me. And I wouldn't recognize him. In fact, even worse, I hated him. I hated everything that he was. And it was so difficult to deal with because you got to realize what I'm saying. I hated myself. Everything that I was at my very core, I hated that guy. And some of you out there might be thinking, man, well, that wouldn't happen to me. You see, we all have the stories, right? We all know those people in our life that tell the story. Oh, man, you don't want to back me into a wall. I'm not a fighter, but you put me in a corner. I'll fight until I die. No, you won't. I'll tell you right now, you won't. Because we all have fight or flight. When you find yourself at that moment, more than likely you're going to quit. And you're going to find yourself feeling exactly like I felt. And for 2 or 3 weeks this goes on. I walk in front of the mirror and I hate myself. I walk in front of the mirror and I hate myself. Day after day after day. And then one day I walk into the bathroom and I'm staring at myself in the mirror and I'm thinking to myself, looking at that guy that I don't like, looking at that image of myself that I can't stand. And I made a choice. I told myself, I don't have to be that guy. I don't like that guy. He's a quitter. That guy is weak. That guy is not who I want to be. And I'm not going to be you any longer. And I did something about it. You see, I grabbed my stuff and I went back to that gym and I grabbed Kevin Hahn and I said, remember that drill we did the other day? And he goes, yeah, man. So let's do that again. I didn't tell him what I was doing. I didn't tell him about the emotional struggle that I had been going through. I didn't make a scene about it. I just said, come on, man, let's do that drill again. And we did that drill. And then we did it over and over and over and over. And I'm going to tell you something. This is very important for you to understand. I quit over and over and over again. And I failed and I failed and I failed and I failed again. See, it didn't work the first time. I had the right idea. I wanted to become somebody different. I wanted to change myself. I didn't like that guy, but I couldn't fix it right away. I had to keep putting myself in that position and keep fighting and keep freaking out and keep failing and keep quitting and keep quitting until one day I didn't quit. One day I was in that drill and I didn't quit. And I know some of you guys are thinking, well, you got better, you learned better skills, whatever. You know what? That may be the case, but that's the point. That's the point of being there. I armed myself with the tools that I needed to not quit. Why am I telling you this story? I'm not telling you this story to glorify myself. I've told you guys many a times, I don't think that I'm anybody special. I am no different than you and I am no better than you. But I'm telling you this story because this is the power of self-awareness. When I talk about self-awareness, I'm talking about the ability to look at yourself in the mirror and to see everything about yourself that you don't like. See, you have to have an accurate vision of your current reality. It doesn't matter what you think of yourself. It doesn't matter what you think your world or what you wish your world was. What matters is that you understand the way your world actually is. The clearer the vision of your current reality, the clearer the vision of yourself, the more you can do about it. I'm telling you this story for one other reason. Because if you look at that picture of yourself and you find out that your current reality isn't what you want it to be, you have the power to change it. It doesn't have to be your reality. It's just your reality for now. You see, you can pick yourself up and you can drag yourself back in that gym and you can put yourself in those positions to change what you don't like about yourself. You can use others around you. You see, I used someone in my life that helped me change. Iron sharpened iron. I didn't do it just by myself. But the motivation started with me. And then today I have someone that I can look in the mirror and I can respect that man. Because you know something? I'm no longer weak like that. I'm no longer a quitter like that. You see, I worked those kinks out and I got past that. And that's what brought me to where I'm at today. I hope this helps some of you guys. I want you to make sure to stay tuned to part 2 of this video because we're going to talk about how this self-awareness transitions into self-confidence. And this is very important. If you enjoyed this guy's video, my name is Anthony. I am from Second Place Solutions. Make sure that you like the video. Make sure to click on subscribe. Hit the notifications bell so that you don't miss future posts. And until next time, I'll see you guys again.